Tesla is again in the news. An updated Toyota Camry. Are voice commands distracting? Apple CarPlay. And help us solve a problem. Next on Talking Cars. Hi everybody and welcome to Talking Cars with Consumer Reports. I'm Tom Mutchler.
I'm Gabe Shanhar.
And I'm Jake Fisher.
First off, a big thank you to everyone for congratulating us on our 50th episode. One comment we got was, "Happy 50, let's celebrate 5,000 together." Go for it. I'm confident to say we will all be very, very dead if this ever hits 5,000. Probably in more important news, Tesla had an announcement last week.
Yes, so it's a long-awaited announcement about all-wheel drive, and it goes without saying that if you have the Model X coming up and it's going to be all-wheel drive, then just a matter of time until Model S.
Might as well put it on the luxury sedan because luxury sedans often have all-wheel drive nowadays.
Right, it's the price of entry in this segment, and yeah, it's going to make it a lot more usable in the snow belt. And the other part of it is that after some criticism that the car lacks advanced safety features, it will have it and go a step further, be able to drive itself, park itself, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big criticism that this high-tech car, you couldn't get forward collision warning, you couldn't get lane departure warning, and they took it another step.
Well, sure. So a lot of vehicles, I mean, we're seeing vehicles even in, mid-size segments that have a lot of advanced safety features, which the Tesla didn't have. And we thought that was kind of bizarre, but, Elon and the guys at Tesla are like, well, we want to make sure we want to do it our own way. We want to do it right.
They don't want to buy it from a supplier.
Well, exactly. So, this is the truth. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have a cheap car. You could get this stuff from a supplier and you could have these things put on. They want to do it their own way. They want to do something a little bit differently, and it looks like they've done that.
That's right. I believe it's called autopilot. It can even move the car in and out of parking spots on its own.
Right, park itself in the garage from the driveway. So all kinds of things that make it unique to Tesla.
Yeah,
yet another step on the road to autonomous cars.
One last thing though, 3.2.
3.2.
3.2. So when we drive the Tesla, it's fast. It's really fast because you get a car that makes no noise, it goes 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. It's crazy fast. They're promising 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds with the dual motor, with the higher performance dual motor.
P85D, yeah.
Experiencing going 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds in a pretty large sedan.
Heavy sedan.
That's impressive.
Yeah, 691 horsepower, something like that.
All the horsepower belongs to Tesla apparently.
It's the Tesla Hellcat. Moving on to cars that people can afford. Toyota has done an extensive update to 2015 Camry. What'd they do?
They made it look pretty.
Was it not pretty before?
It was pretty exciting before.
It's still my beating heart.
Worked out with the pretty.
That's right.
So yeah, so they made some tweaks to the car. When you look at it, it's a pretty big change for a mid-cycle from Toyota. I mean,
right, because the car came out, this generation was 2012, this is going to be the mid-cycle.
Right, so there's a mid-cycle that usually we expect, which, they take the taillight lenses and they turn them upside down and something like that. Here, it's a lot of body changes. They say everything has changed except for the roof. So, it looks more aggressive, it looks more interesting. It'll probably get pretty bland in about 3 months after it goes on sale because they'll be everywhere.
Because you see them everywhere, yeah.
Right, exactly. But they've made some other tweaks into the car. So they try to make the steering a little bit heavier, a little more engaging. They try to make it a little quieter, which is something that we complained about with this last generation. But, they're minor changes. More importantly, they didn't change the powertrain. And what's interesting about the powertrain is, Camry's also about, efficiency and reliability and all that stuff. Well, don't change the powertrain. That's going to keep it reliable. But we got 27 miles per gallon out of the 4-cylinder Camry. When we did it originally, it's pretty good for a pretty large sedan. But these days, they're falling behind a little bit.
Since then, you've had the Nissan Altima,
right.
You've had the Accord, you've had the Mazda 6.
So all of these vehicles, 30 miles per gallon and above.
Right.
That is really where that's where it's at right now. So 27 miles per gallon, they're doing it with a 6-speed automatic. We don't have an 8-speed automatic. We don't have a CVT. We don't have a dual clutch system. We don't have a small displacement turbo. they aren't putting in the technologies that we're seeing in some of the other cars. And some of the other cars are able to do it without those technologies. Say, you mentioned the Mazda 6,
Yep.
32 miles per gallon, a vehicle with a conventional 6-speed automatic.
Of course, the Mazda 6 does it without noise deadening.
Well, there's that. There is absolutely that.
Gabe,
There's some
how's the new Camry drive?
It drives pretty well, but it's not that the 2012 Camry drove badly. And,
Right, exactly.
You know me, I don't jump on bandwagons. You know,
Yeah.
there is this axiom out there that a Camry, especially in some circles like the Buff books, that Camry equals 1964 Buick LeSabre. That's not the case, really. I mean, the Camry has loyal following, and you know how I rent cars. You know, there's usually
do
this
rent
like
cars.
15 minutes of what else you got at the counter. What else you got? So
You're like a haggler. It's
very impressive.
It's a thing to watch.
So twice recently, I got a Camry, and
Your haggling didn't go well.
I was happy with it. You know what? It was roomy. It was quiet.
You know,
Nice car for a rental car.
There's the funny thing. You know, Toyota came and talked to us, probably gave us the same spiel they gave everyone else. You know, well, you know, the Camry was a bit floaty and people were complaining and it's not sporty. These people are confessing to crimes that the car never committed, that the most recent car wasn't committing.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Because to appease Buff books.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's all.
You're absolutely right.
You know, look, we made it sportier.
Oh, sure, yeah.
When in reality, what they did is they tweaked the LE a little bit. They made the ride a little bit better in the SC. So it used to be.
They actually narrowed the gap between the LE and the SC.
Right.
But we're talking about little tiny
Oh,
pieces.
yeah.
And what's really important here is they didn't do what they did to the Avalon. So the Avalon, they said, oh yeah, we're not sporty and nobody likes the Avalon because it's too luxurious. I don't get this, because the Avalon was a great car for someone who, they're not a car enthusiast, but they want something really quiet and refined. And they don't want to spend the money for a luxury car.
They might be an older buyer, but older people have the money.
And they like it quiet, and they're paying for it. So they took the Avalon in the last generation and they made it stiff. Why would you do this? Right. Fortunately, they did not do that with the Camry. We're talking minor tweaks here. Looks a little bit more interesting, and just minor tweaks. So that's fortunate.
Yeah, I think it's mostly a PR and a marketing blitz more than an engineering radical change.
Yep, I'd agree with that. Yeah. Something else talking about engineering. Last week, AAA, they came out with a study looking at voice commands and whether voice commands were distracting or not. They rated a couple different car systems. Intune, they rated the best. MyLink from Chevy, they rated the worst. But the takeaway from the story might have gone a little too far. It was almost sounding like, and the way it was played in the media a lot was voice commands are dangerous. Why is that almost a dangerous thing to say?
Well, it absolutely is. So it's all about what the alternative is. So sure, talking to your car is going to be distracting.
You're doing something other than driving.
You're doing something other than driving.
Touching a radio knob is distracting.
But going and using a touchscreen, that's probably more distracting. Programming an app system some other way is more distracting. So it's not, I mean, here's the problem. It's like, what are you replacing? What are you doing instead of the other thing? I mean, you could go and you could take a complete Luddite view of the thing. It's like, don't use electronics in the car. Take your cell phone, put it in your glove compartment.
That's the Ray LaHood method.
That's what he talked about. You should have cell phones in the car.
The thing I love the analogy you use of you can either, it's great, you can either have abstinence or you can use condoms.
Right.
And voice command is a condom, basically.
Right.
It's protective.
You're going to do it anyway, so let's make it safer. And that's really what the issue is, and that's what the voice controls do. They make it a bit safer if they are good voice controls.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with AAA. There's definitely room for improvement in voice controls.
Right. Yeah, and it's right. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do, and it's the alternative is taking out your smartphone and fiddling with it, which is a lot worse. So, yeah.
And what's interesting about the technology is that what we often see in these cars, that the voice controls are kind of last generation voice controls. Whereas, Siri on iPhone or, hey, Google, I mean, that is working, that works much better. It's much more up to date. It's much more natural voice recognition. Yeah. I mean, it's the difference of setting a navigation system and saying, region 3, I would like to, change state back, Whereas, you go on, your smartphone and it's like, hey, I'm interested in getting some pizza. And it's like, hey, would you like to go to this local pizza place? No.
Yeah, no, I'll come back to that in a minute. AAA, they said Siri was the most distracting system. And part of the reason is that Siri can do things Intune can't do. I mean, you know, it can update.
Well, they said
it can update Facebook.
Sure.
It can, you know, not that I'm saying, not that any of us
that
are
we're
saying you should be
condoning that,
updating Facebook, but if someone is, frankly, dumb enough to update their Facebook, you know, because look, it's what the kids do these days. You know, this is a safer way of doing it.
So Siri, they say, is the most distractive, but they weren't looking at it in the same ways as the other thing. They weren't saying setting a navigation system is more distracting in Siri than it is in Intune. That's not what they were doing.
Right.
They were saying all those things that Siri does can make it more distracting because it gives you more options in doing things.
Something else that may help with this is how do you integrate your phone into the car? And we recently got Apple's CarPlay.
Yeah, so we installed this Pioneer, which is an aftermarket head unit in our Volkswagen Jetta, and we connected some iPhone, and you need the Lightning cable, so it's
got to be tethered.
It's five and up, and we experienced it, and it really works well. It's very slick. I mean, to me personally, as long as there's no Waze or Spotify there, then it's insufficient. Yes.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's pretty brilliant. It really is. You know, I mean, just to even start in terms of the pairing process. We know a lot of people, you know, they have Bluetooth in the car and they have Bluetooth on their phone. And they're not even pairing. You don't even have to pair with this system. Now, I mean, this is the Pioneer application, but you plug in the Lightning cable, you're in.
Yeah.
You're talking to Siri. I'm saying, hey, give me my wife a call. You know, and it's calling it up. It's, you know, text my wife that I'll be home later. It's doing it. Remind me when I get home to take out the garbage. It's doing it. It's setting it on my calendar. It's setting the reminders. It's so fluid and so, you know, I mean, there's two pieces of it. One is like I said, the voice controls on smartphones. They're great.
Yes,
they're very natural. But beyond that, you're already used to it.
Right, because the interface is so familiar. It's almost a mirror of your phone.
Right.
And so the icons are familiar, you know where everything is.
And quite honestly, the phone does things better than OEM systems in cars. One thing that drives all of us nuts, no, we're not all driven nuts that I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I listen to a lot of podcasts.
That does drive me nuts.
It does. I'll stop it. So I get in the car, I plug the phone in. Almost invariably, in some other system, it goes immediately to the first song I have in my library.
ABBA again.
ABBA Cab.
I think it's Accidentally in Love by Counting Crows. I'm so freaking sick of that song because it comes on every time I plug the phone in. This in CarPlay, you know what? It doesn't. And all I have to do is hit Now Playing.
Right.
You know, it's exactly the format that's on the phone. Plus, podcast is up there on the main screen. It's not buried in deep. You know, so it's just so much.
It's everything that you set up. You set up your playlist. You set up your podcast. You know your library, and it's just the way you're used to it. I mean, we've seen other manufacturers. They do things so that they got the hard drive in there. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to have a music library in my car.
I'm going to spend hours copying my phone to
I'm
my
going to sync.
car.
No. You keep it all.
That's all 2008.
You keep it all there, and you know what? You don't even have to have. I mean, a lot of cars we're talking, you know, LTE hotspots, and you have.
Why would I bother?
Why would I bother? I'm paying for it in my. I got LTE in my phone.
I don't want another phone contract.
There you go.
It doesn't make sense. What I do wish is that, you know, again, this is an aftermarket system, Pioneer Radio. Man, aftermarket systems suck for ergonomics. Oh my God. I mean, the volume knobs, you need a stylus. Speaking of old tech, you need a stylus to change the volume if you don't use it. Luckily, it integrates with steering wheel controls, you know, because the wiring harness works. But looking beyond that, CarPlay's pretty darn clever. We've got a couple reader questions. Wanted to address them. First, from Quiet Guy 1948, an interesting video, but I wonder, are the comments posted here on YouTube ever read, considered, or evaluation for inclusion in any of these podcasts?
The answer is no.
That's right. I will not read this question online. Next, look. Judging engineers by what we wear on the podcast is a bad idea. We're lucky we're dressed. Several people commented that Gabe and I wore the same thing on the last episode. All Tom and Gabe need are denim jackets and they can go to a formal event in Canada.
Hey.
How about that? That's great. A more serious question that came from the Twitter. Tom, looking for a used pickup truck, around $15,000 to $17,000, 06 to 08 range. Must have four-wheel drive, seating for four. Heavy towing not required. Ideas?
No, that's impossible.
Toyota T100.
He didn't say 1996.
No, it's impossible because you don't know why somebody wants a pickup truck. I mean, if you really want a pickup truck and you don't care about towing, I mean, you could buy the Ridgeline, right? It's a pickup truck.
I think the Ridgeline is actually. He also said in a second tweet, favoring reliability and features creature comforts over power.
There you go. It's a Ridgeline. But depending on why you're buying that pickup truck, if you want to have a pickup truck look, that thing kind of looks like pretty dweeby. I mean, it really is. I mean, they may be very unhappy with it. So I don't know. I don't know why he wants a pickup truck.
Or they may be thrilled with it. I know people with Ridgelines who absolutely love that truck.
All 7 of them.
That's all they sold. Gabe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Ridgeline makes most sense, but yeah, we need to know the reasons. What's he carrying? What does he want to do with it?
Wants to go off-roading?
Exactly. Does he want to just look cool on a date or go off?
The Ridgeline won't work for that.
It's always about looking cool on a date with you.
Bah.
A couple things about trucks, and especially in those model years. There were a lot of changes going on in trucks around there. The Silverado got redesigned for 07. That's when it got standard stability control. You wouldn't want a first-year one, so you get an 08. The F-150 never had stability control until 09. The Ram, it was hard sitting 4 people because they had either a tiny, they never had a real crew cab in those years. Right. They had a short cab or sometimes they had a mega cab, which is just massive.
That's ridiculous, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, the hell with mega cab. So you're kind of dancing around years to get the best mix. Domestic trucks in these years, I took a quick look at the reliability data. They're all pretty much the same when it comes to reliability. One other thing to throw out, although I'm reluctant to do it.
How about the Nissan Frontier if he wants to go a compact pickup truck?
Well, that's small, but actually you can get a Titan. You could get a newer Titan. Depreciation's horrible.
Well, it's good for you if you buy used.
Yeah, if you buy, you can buy like a 2010 Titan in this price range. Not the most reliable truck, but it does get you a lot of features.
Stability control.
Yeah, and it's going to get you a newer truck, within your budget.
Powertrain to die for.
That's right. We need some help from our readers. Jake.
Help us.
Yes.
Please.
Help dress up.
All right, so we've had a lot of comments. We put out a lot of reviews of cars. We put them on
the videos.
The videos, yeah. We go drive around the car and currently we're calling them the reviews. And these are the ones that go on to YouTube. And they're free. And as probably everyone in this audience, they understand, we also do road tests, and they're on CRO, we call it that, Consumer Reports Online. The question is, what should we call them? A few of you have said, hey, this is not a review, and it's not a full review. We put the road test on our site. It's kind of a first look, early take. Sometimes we just test drive the car and we talk about it, and the loyal reviewers have been really good in helping us out. They'd help us out with wardrobe. They help us out with naming the show.
That's right.
Talking cars. So what do you think we should call them?
Yes. What should we call the free videos that we give out on cars? Either when we first drive the car, like I did with the F-150 a couple weeks ago. We got a press car and we drove it in advance.
Or it's a car that we're not going to buy. We're not going to do a road test of. Let's go get an R8 tomorrow. Let's go do a review of that, and we'll put that on YouTube. It's not a road test.
Video that we did?
It's not the first one. It's been around for a while, but yeah, so we'd love to have the input.
Yeah, we would really love to have your input. Next week we're going to take a little break. The video team needs to catch up on stuff, but the good news is that after that we will have a show on reliability with Jake and Anita, talking about what's new from our 2014 big annual survey. That's going to do it for this episode, so thanks for listening.